Hey everyone, this is Travis. I want to apologize that this episode's coming out late. I know a lot of you missed it on your Friday drive to work, and I want to apologize ahead of time for some audio quality issues you're going to hear. With Nick traveling and with us doing a remote interview in some uncontrolled environments, it's a little bit tough to get everything nailed down, so we apologize. It's not up to our regular standard, but there's some good stuff here. So with that out of the way, we'll let you get to it.
Oh, we'll stay out late to gastrobate and hang out with our friends. We'll share a few good microbrews, the good times never end. From seaside to the mountains, we'll travel many lands. Eateth of their pub cuisine and hear their local bands. We'll drink it from a bottle in a can or what's on tap. We'll rate each brew as we do with fairness and a map. Spirits are up, we'll fill our cup, the wind is in our sails. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel happy trails.
Welcome back to Hoppy Trails, a show where we go out and find people who are more interesting and more knowledgeable than us and let them talk to you.
It's really not that hard of a task.
It's not.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Travis, and we are finally both back in our home studios. Nick, you've been on a very long journey and you're finally home.
Finally home. Felt good to get home.
Yeah, you were on the road for how long, man?
We were gone for over a month.
Over a month.
And it's not like we were really on the road. I mean, we were on the road for maybe like a week-ish, week and a half at most. Most of the time was spent staying at my parents' house, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a home away from home.
Yeah.
But it's just good to be back in our home, in our nice, large, comfortable bed.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, it was a great time. We got to see a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And spent quite a few times with you guys.
Yep.
It was good. Went to a really great spot, which I'm sure we'll talk about here shortly.
Oh yeah, we definitely will.
And yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Anytime we go back to the area, it's always good seeing friends and family.
Yeah.
I just wish we could do it more often. So
yeah,
we'll see what the future holds for us, but I'm sure it won't be long until we're back up.
Yeah. And Steph and I are definitely looking at making a trip up there, bringing Squee with us and, going up and staying up there with you and checking out some more places around the Eugene Junction City, maybe out to Florence, and who knows, man, just kind of we'll do some time up there. So we're getting that we're trying to get that on the books, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Everything just seems to be kind of a hop, skip, and a jump away from us. So
yes, indeed.
We've got a lot of good things around us. A lot that we have not explored yet. So
yeah. Well, I saw that you posted a couple of pictures of some stuff that you cooked in your kitchen. I know it was you'd just gotten home. You probably haven't stretched your kitchen legs yet so much, but good to be back in your own kitchen.
Yes, absolutely. I know where all my tools are. So, but haven't done any like real cooking. I mean, what was it? What did I share with everybody? It was just the Costco salmon that's already done up with some pesto butter and dill. And then some baked green beans and some couscous.
Yeah.
Comes out to be a really great meal that it's done in like 25 minutes. And it may be the most expensive piece is the salmon all in. It's probably like a total of like $30.
Yeah. So, yeah. Not bad at all for a good meal. Some pesto and everything. Oh, that sounds good.
It's delicious. Yeah, I love the Costco hacks of putting different, foods together from Costco. I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that do that, but no, it's a lot of fun, and it's cool to see like the money that you can save in doing so.
And you know what? For anybody who doesn't have a Costco membership,
get one.
Here's a little trick. You don't have to have a Costco membership. If you get Costco cash, you can go spend that whether you're a Costco member or not. So, if I don't know if you can buy Costco cash somewhere if you're not a member. If you can't, just find a member. Be like, hey, let me give you $200. Yeah, totally.
That's got a Costco membership. They can get you one.
And I'm
Costco cash.
I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure that if you go in there and you've got like, let's say you've got $100 in Costco cash and your order's 125 or whatever, I'm pretty sure they'll just let you pay the rest of it in cash. So you know what I mean? I don't think you need to walk in there with $1,000 just in case, but There's a lot of good stuff in there and a lot of good prices, man. Their meat department's always good. If you want to get those nice chuck ribs or the plate ribs or anything like that, man,
A great place to do it.
Costco's got them almost all the time.
They've usually got prime brisket, the
Yep.
whole packers that are probably the best prices around. But I'll rewind back to, spending $125 there. Good luck doing that. There's no way to get out of there spending less than $200, $250. I mean,
It's
there
true.
is, but you're literally buying like one or two items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's true.
just
Because
not
there's so
possible.
many things, they're just priced that way at like $20, $25, whatever like that. You get a few things and really quickly you're at $200.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I shouldn't go there alone. I really shouldn't go there alone. I went there the other day to restock, and I walked out of there spending $500. Came out of left field.
It's easy to do, man. It's so easy to do.
So easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of food that's going to last us a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake going to Winco today. I need to get I don't buy the pork shoulders from Costco because they're all boneless. I don't like dealing with boneless pork shoulder.
Right.
And so I just went to Winco today to get a bone-in pork shoulder. They're cheapies. I do those for my experimentation. So I got to experiment on Saturday. And walk right in the door. They always got that little meat cooler inside the door at Winco with all their meat sales. Choice whole brisket on sale for $3.48 a pound.
$3.48.
Yeah,
That's excellent. That's
couldn't say
excellent.
no. I couldn't say no. So, one of those came home with me as well.
Yeah.
But shopping's dangerous.
Yes, it
also-
is.
So I went to the store today to specifically get something. It's the chili garlic paste. The same people that make sriracha with
Yeah.
Black Foods. I don't think they're in business anymore.
What?
Well, one, I don't see the OG sriracha bottle anymore. I see all these off brands selling sriracha.
No
And-
shit.
I haven't been able to find the little chili garlic paste from that brand.
Yeah.
And so I went to Winco, hoping to find it there. Didn't. But then I saw that there was another brand that makes a sriracha sauce that's it's in a glass jar. And
Yeah.
it's the chili garlic paste. So I don't think the original sriracha brand, Fong Foods, is in business anymore.
That is insane. I'm gonna have to look that. Listen, anybody who's
Yeah.
listening right now, if you know the answer to this, if you know the story, hit us up and let us know. Link to it on one of the socials. Send us an email. Something. This needs to be investigated further.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'll probably investigate after this, but it's wild. It's something that we've been so used to and everything. And you look for the iconic bottle or jars and
Yeah.
they're nowhere to be found, but it's okay.
It's been a
long-
staple forever.
Yeah. But, I'm sure this other chili garlic paste that I got is going to be just as good. It looks pretty good and it's in a glass jar. So
Yeah.
right there, you already have the premium feeling.
Sign of
So,
quality. Sign of
I-
quality. Absolutely.
Yes. As long as I have my chili garlic paste, I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's crazy because I remember when sriracha really started picking up and getting popular. And there was a time when it was put this on everything. You know what I mean? And I fell into that for a while also, but I'd been using it since before then because I was turned on to it at pho restaurants. That Vietnamese beef noodle soup. And, being in Saratoga when I was younger, we had very close by a lot of Asian markets and things like that and a lot of Asian shopping areas. And so we had pho everywhere. And I, was eating that for, years and years and years. And I associated sriracha just with, you get it at the pho restaurant. And then it started really picking up, becoming popular. And I'm like, oh yeah, why don't I just have this in my fridge and
Right.
put it on
Why not?
everything? Yeah. And it's delicious. It's a very delicious sauce. No doubt about it. I'm not faulting anyone for jumping on the craze. It's a really good sauce. It is.
My only regret is I discovered it way too late in life. Like
Yeah.
probably my early 20s. I
Yeah.
feel like I missed out a lot, but it's okay. It's been around for a while. So,
Yeah,
um,
I've got a buddy, Huey. You may know him. His name's Bob. He was over in Los Gatos, and I lived down with him in San Diego for a while. He's out in New York now, but when I lived with him in San Diego, we had we were younger, we were broke, so we had to eat on not a lot of money. And one of the things we did is we had this casserole, and it was just a real basic casserole. We'd go get the frozen 3 vegetable medley, which had broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. We'd get bags of that, mix that up with oh man, what was it? Maybe like a cream of potato soup. We'd mix that up
nice.
with and mix it up with some shredded cheddar cheese that we were buying in the block because of course it's cheaper and we had more time than money, so we were happy to get those elbows moving and grate it ourselves for the savings. Mix that up, throw it in the casserole dish, get some what was it? Croissant, the cans of croissant, slice it up, make a lattice work across the top. I think we mixed in a can of the French fried onion strings or whatever into the mix also. Bake that bad boy, and then that's what we would eat. And we would just cut out huge chunks of it, cover it in sriracha, and just get down on it. We had that, 4 nights a week, every time.
Nice.
Cheap, delicious, sriracha all over it. Got it done. Got us fed for next to nothing.
It's a whatever pot pie.
It is. It is, man. A lot of people, there's a lot of fancy stuff going around the TikToks and the what have yous. And I mean, everybody sees us post up our videos from time to time, fancy stuff, sometimes not. But, you can't forget about the poor kid casserole, right? Just find some frozen vegetables, a can of cream of something soup, and
Never
mix that
forget
bad boy
your
up.
roots.
That's
Never
it,
forget
man.
your roots.
That's right. It doesn't always have to be fancy. Sometimes it can be cheap, basic, and still delicious.
Absolutely. Basic is always going to be delicious.
Well, speaking of not basic, I'll tell you what I made recently, and I don't know why I haven't been making it sooner. Is I made a chili oil. Okay, it's
Oh,
like a spiced chili oil with garlic and ginger and green onions and a bunch of crushed chilies and all of that. It was easy. It was really easy. I, of course, left out some of the steps that the guy in the video did because I thought, it's unnecessary. Might be more delicious the way he did it, but the way I did it was very delicious anyway. I will make a video because I'm going to need more of it. I made, maybe about a pint's worth of this stuff, and it was so easy. It's so good. I'm going to make a video and show everybody. I
so
want to put that stuff on everything.
is this just like a chili infused oil, or is this more of like where it's got a texture to it, like the chili crisp oil that's out there?
So it's not like that. It has everything in it. And
Okay.
so like everything goes into the jar and then you pour the hot oil in. And so you could, in theory, give it a good mix before you pull some out and get all the little, niblets and bits and everything in there.
Yeah.
Uh, but I do, just get a spoon in there, kind of dip it so you don't get any of the chunks or anything, and then drizzle that over. I'll tell you, you put 2 or 3 tablespoons in a bowl of ramen, and my goodness, you have just taken it from good to amazing.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Aromatic, a little bit spicy, adds that kind of quality that, you feel like you get at the restaurant, but not at home. Really good. I'll make a video, show everybody. It's good. Everybody's going to be making this stuff.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. So let's talk about, speaking of good food and things like that, let's talk about, we went to one of Alvarado Street Brewing's locations. We always talk about Alvarado Street. People in California, I mean, as far as the East Coast know who Alvarado Street is. And they've got, four locations now, right?
I believe so. The
Yeah.
Culinary Brew Pub, Yeast of Eden,
Yeast of Eden.
and then there's another brew pub in Carmel, right?
Well, the Yeast of Eden is the Carmel location. That used to be only their Yeast of Eden series, but then they said, you know what, let's just make this a general location. And it's
Okay.
nice. And they have different food there, different food at each of the locations.
Got
And
it.
then Yeah, and then they've got the, production facility on
in
Dayton Street in
Salinas.
Salinas,
Yep.
and then where we went, just this last time,
Their newest location in Old Town Salinas on
in
Main
Old
Street.
Town on Main,
What a beautiful job that the city of Salinas has done
right?
to Old Town, in revitalizing it. And
Yes.
such a beautiful, beautiful area. And ASB on Main, as it's called, is smack dab right in the middle. And ASB has done an excellent job in fitting in and kind of keeping it old school and classy in
Yeah.
their brew pub.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
I guess
It's,
just pub because they're not brewing there.
yeah, no, you're right. No brewing there at all. So they're supplied by outside, which I think all of the other locations have some kind of brewing or fermentation happening there. So I think
Yes.
this is the only location that doesn't have any sort of production happening. But, yeah, Salinas, for people who don't know, salad bowl of America, wherever you are in the United States and possibly some other countries, when you're in the produce section, go look at some of the bagged produce, especially leafy greens, and see if it says Salinas, California. You'll see some berries that say Watsonville, things like that, all from the surrounding area. But that Salinas Valley is where a lot of the produce comes from that feeds this country. And Salinas used to be just big farming town with a lot of, privately owned family farms. And as so many other agricultural areas, the family farms were what were producing a lot of the resources that then were kept in the local banks. And that is what the banks used to loan out for people who were going to start a business, who were going to build a house, whatever like that. And so, of course, as the farms get bought up, big conglomerates, money's going out, not kept in these local banks. The local banks started closing up. And Salinas, like so many other farming areas, has a lot of banks that were just abandoned and then they were used for whatever else. And so there's these just beautiful buildings, amazing structures that have just been not being used. And this is one of them. And Nick, I mean, come on, man, imagine that when it was a bank, just beautiful, the architecture, and then now how they've taken it and kind of changed it into something new.
For a beer venue, it is very swanky.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
almost
is.
I maybe felt a little. I mean, I was just wearing shorts and a t-shirt, but I don't know. I was like, wow, I feel like I should have dressed up a little bit for this place, but
You feel like your shirt should have some buttons on it, right?
a little bit.
As our old friend John Vineyard from back in high school said, look, this is my fanciest shirt. It's got 4 pockets on it. What do you want, right?
But no, such a classy place. I'm a light guy, and so the first thing I always notice when I walk into a place is light fixtures.
Yeah,
The light fixtures that they've got in this place are very the white kind of soft white globe, retro kind of vintage look to them and everything.
yeah,
But and that totally fits with the whole vibe that they've got going on there. But they've done a wonderful job with building that out.
yeah, and it's got a lot of big windows, which is really nice. So a lot of good natural light kind of opens the place up. Really tall, really tall ceiling. It's at least a 2-story, if not 3 ceiling. And then they've got towards the back, they have some stairs that go up and it's got like a balcony type
Elevated seating
dining
area.
area and just beautiful. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. They've got a beautiful bar there. They did a really good job. Yeah.
Definitely. But enough about the environment that they've created, the experience.
That's right. They're not an interior decorating company, are they?
No. But they should be, honestly. Whoever they hired for that. But their food, my.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
I've got to say I'm glad the way that we did it, where we ordered a little bit here, ordered a little bit there, just kind of did it in courses and rounds and everything, and that was an excellent way for us to get kind of a good little tour of the menu, if you will.
yes, definitely. What did we get? Did we get calamari?
Started off with the calamari.
With the calamari, that was very good. Nice fry on it. Also held together really well. Wasn't chewy. Then
The calamari had some fried shishito peppers in there as well.
Yes. Yeah, actually, in my opinion, they could have put more on there on the plate.
Yes, I agree with you. I would have loved twice as many shishito peppers.
But maybe 3 times as many. Just because I mean, they gave me a massive plate of calamari, but I definitely wish that I could have like a few calamari for each shishito pepper,
yeah,
rather than like like a dozen calamari with 1 pepper. But it is what it is.
The shishito pepper is such a great pepper because you roast it up a little bit, and it's got a lot of that. It's got a ton of that flavor where if you've never had one before, you pop one in your mouth, you start chewing it, and you get that essence of, oh man, this is going to be hot. It's not really a super hot pepper. It's pretty mild. It's got a little bit of heat to kind of warm you, but it has that feeling like it's going to be hot. And so it's not like a lot of those milder peppers where you're like, oh, this is something different. It has a lot of those qualities, but then doesn't knock you out.
For sure. Absolutely. That's why I love eating them all the time.
Yeah. They're an everyday pepper,
When I see them at the grocery store, I get all excited. Yeah, okay, I'm getting a bag of these.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, no, so the calamari was very good. And then we ordered 2 of their pizzas to share amongst us. One was a margarita pizza. That was good.
Very good.
But the other one, oh my.
Star of the show.
What was it? The fig and the pig or the pig and the fig?
Yeah. It was either fig and pig or pig and pig, man.
Pig and pig, I think. Or pig and fig. I don't know. Either way, it's a beautiful combination. Throwing. So yes, it has like whatever. It wasn't bacon or maybe it was pork belly. I'm not sure. The pork was very tender though.
Yes.
But the fig portion is what needs to be talked about because it's so good. They call it their Fab Jam.
I was right as you were talking. I was trying to figure out what was it. What were the letters?
I will never forget.
Was it that? Was it what? Yeah, no, it was Fab.
So Fab, fig. What was? Oh, almond.
Yep.
And beer.
So
they make the jam in-house right there.
Yeah.
For their pizza. And it is so good. I wish, unless I completely missed it on the menu, but if they don't have it, they really should do a fig burger with that.
Oh man.
They need to have like a section of menu items that are just all use that Fab.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it was so good. And when we ordered the pizza, we read the description. I'm like, oh yeah, all right, it's gonna, and you kind of have it in your head. You're like, that sounds great. Can't wait for it to come out. I took a bite of this pizza and my brain was confused because the fig, when they turn it into that jam, figs already have, they have this kind of honey quality to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just really rich sweetness. And then when they combined it with the almond and the beer, and I'm not sure which beer they used, but just that combination of flavors, it was so sweet and my brain was confused. And I was like, is there some kind of like a maple syrup in here or something? And it just, oh man, it blew me away. Yeah. And Megan, our server, who I actually know from before, wonderful person, amazing. And I asked her, I'm like, is it, some kind of maple syrup? She's like, nope, let me tell you, that's the Fab Jam. And she broke it down for us. And it just blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. I would have never thought to create such a thing just to put on this pizza.
It is the Fab Jam.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I want more of it. So if you go there, ask them if they could jar some up.
I'm telling you, I might do it, man. I might do it. Just go in there. You know what I mean? When they're closed up, just do a little bank robbery. But instead of coming out with bags with dollar signs, I'm going to come out with jars with figs on them and just, running out of there.
They probably have the border locked up in a vault cooler.
If they're smart, they do. So good, man. So good. Yeah, I got to get a hold of some of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, after the pizzas, I think we each ordered individual items.
Yeah.
Something along that line. I think you guys got like their smash burger.
We did their smash. Yep.
And then honestly, now I can't, that set my world on fire.
Well, and it's funny because ordinarily I'm like, yeah, Smashburger, that's gonna be the highlight of it. And it was a good smash, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to remember if it was an Ad Astra bun or not. I'm not sure. I mean, anybody who knows me, you know it. I say the Ad Astra bun is the greatest hamburger bun in the state of California, possibly the nation. Anybody who disagrees, please feel free to fight me. A wonderful bun from a local bakery, and it's what I use whenever I do when I'm really going all out on my smash burgers, when I go see Chef Todd for my custom beef blending like that, I only put that on the Ad Astra buns. I think it might have been an Ad Astra bun. I don't remember the other details of it. I know there was some other twist on this smash burger, but I can't fucking remember it because the only thing that stuck in my brain was that fig and pig with the Fab Jam, man. It overshadowed everything.
Right. Oh, now I remember what I got. It was their Caprese Nut BLT, which I actually liked. I don't know where it was on the ciabatta. I don't know where the ciabatta came from. It was very soft, not like like sometimes you have a ciabatta and it's got kind of a harder outer shell to it.
Yeah.
This was just kind of soft all around, absorbed like the juices of the tomato,
Yeah.
and the pesto aioli, pretty well. I liked it a lot, and it also had fresh mozzarella on it. But no,
Yeah.
it was good. But the pizza
I'm telling you, next time I go in there, I'm getting the pizza 100%. They've got a lot of good looking stuff on that menu.
for sure.
If I get one of the other things, I'm just getting it, as an appetizer to the pizza.
Yes,
Just real talk, man. That pizza was really good. Really good.
yeah, no, yeah, I can't wait to go back there.
Yeah. So good. And we had some good beers there. Got a flight, did a little tasting around, and then jumped on a couple of full pours of a couple of things and just Alvarado Street, man. It's just good beers, just really good beers. Got the double Nelson baby going, which Billy, I know you received one of those. Love to hear what you think about it. That's man, that represents the West Coast style, 100%.
For sure. That double Nelson was really good.
Yeah,
I think I might have one more can of it left.
yeah,
So that'll be out this weekend.
yeah, absolutely, man. I made sure when we left, we grabbed some foursies to go, 100%, man. That's good stuff. And you know what? I haven't checked for it recently. I'll bet it's sold out already. That type of thing goes fast.
Yeah. I'd imagine so, especially with other ones like Double Dank,
Yeah,
and the others, the popular ones they release annually. But
yeah. Well, and we had the what was the crepuscular something? Do you remember what that one was?
Arcade Joe.
I'm trying to think. It was a big one, man. It was a big beer. I wanna say it was like a barrel-aged stout. Man, I can't remember now. I remember the can. I've got one in the fridge, and every time I look at it, I go, "Oh, man, we've gotta talk about this one." It was it was a big beer. Billy's got one of those also. I'm not sure if Billy's knocked that one down yet. I need to check in with him and see what he thought, but yeah, crepuscular something or other. Um,
Huh.
really good.
I'm yeah, I can't recall.
Let me see if I can find it.
This was at ASB, right?
Yeah, it's
It's not because
Crepuscular Creatures.
oh, okay.
Let me see.
It's not on their menu anymore now.
Here it is. Okay. American Imperial Stout. Into a world of flavor shrouded in shadow. 12.9% ABV. That's a big boy. That's a solid one right there.
Yeah. Wow. Wait, that's interesting because I'm seeing their motor oil 19, which is 12.9% on the menu right now.
Ooh, that motor oil series, man. Those are good
Right.
beers too. Let me tell you, man, that motor oil, oh, every time that one comes out, I absolutely get a pour of that. It is so good. And I mean, it's dark and it's viscous. You know what I mean? That's the only way you can describe that one is viscous. And it is so good.
Oh, wow. I wish we had got, because I remember seeing this one over there. I don't know why we didn't get it though. The Chocolade Paradise, German chocolate cake inspired blend of bourbon barrel aged stouts with cacao nibs, coconut, and nut.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is quite stout at 15%.
15%, man. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the real deal right there.
That put me through the floor.
Yes, it would, man. Yeah. You know what? Hey, speaking of really big, dark and stout beers like that, I sent you that article about beer spiking.
Yes.
That would be a beer that would probably really enhance with a nice beer spike.
Yep. And my beer spike will be on June 22nd.
Yes. Okay, listen, anybody who doesn't know what beer spiking is, I'm not going to get into it because we're going to do a whole thing on it. Just know this. It is something that apparently has some fairly ancient roots. It was originally for one thing. It's now being discovered and revitalized for something different. And Huey has a beer spike on the way, which will be here soon. And as soon as it comes in, we're going to make some videos of Huey spiking beers. And not like, not like the junior high school dance punch bowl, right? Where he's not going to spike it with some vodka. It's a totally different thing.
Or throwing a beer on the ground in celebration of a touchdown.
Yes. Also not that. Don't throw your beers on the ground. That's alcohol abuse.
Or
we'll call Alcohol Protective Services and they'll come take your beer away from you.
hitting it violently over a volleyball net.
Don't do that either. It's not good for your beer, man.
No.
If you want to get crazy with the beer, lose it in the ocean, let it get a nice sea salt crust on it, but that's about as crazy as you want to get with a beer.
And then go swim for it.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you wear your floaties.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we have something pretty exciting that we've got for everybody today. We, kind of poked at it a little bit in the introduction. Nick, what do we have? What are we about to present our listeners with? What are we about to drizzle in their ear holes?
Another brewer interview. Numero dos.
That's right. We're going to take a deuce all over this.
Yeah. Sure.
That didn't come out right.
It's okay. It'll sound better once we re-listen to it a couple of times.
No, just wait until I put a little bit of compression and EQ on that bad boy, and it's gonna sound
drop the.
Yeah, so we've got an interview. And Nick, who's that interview with?
With our buddy Jeffrey from Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending.
Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending. Yeah, it's a place that we went to recently. We talked about it a couple episodes ago. We've got a reel up on the Instagram so you can kind of take a peek. We had a blast. We talked to Jeffrey. He liked the things we said about him enough that we convinced him to come on here and talk to us. And
an amazing feat, honestly.
I know, man. We're
Jeffrey
just out here.
A great guy with an amazing brewing history.
Yes, he is. Yeah, and we're just out here tricking people into coming on our show. No, but seriously, great interview. Can't wait to show it to you. So we'll take a quick break real quick, hold tight, and then we'll come back with the interview.
Psst. Hey, you.
Want to get doomed?
I'm Tessa.
And I'm Nicole, and we have a spanking new podcast for your ear holes called Doom Generation.
Listen in as two foul-mouthed biddies have an always casual, often comedic...
What? I think we're funny.
And sometimes chaotic conversation about the things that doomed us to be who we are today.
Take a trip with us down nostalgia lane, and we'll try not to veer off the road.
Available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Doom Generation Pod and on Twitter at DoomGen Pod. Later, Doomers!
Drunken mix metaphors and travel hoppy trails.
All right, and welcome back to a Hoppy Trails special feature. Once again, we have gone back to a brewery that we absolutely loved, had a wonderful time spending time at, and we have gotten the owner and brewer on here so that we can get some more information, do a deep dive, and do just one of those interviews that everybody's loved so much. So, special guest, why don't you introduce yourself, tell our listeners who you are, and we'll get to it.
Hi, Travis, Nick. Appreciate you guys having me. I am Jeffrey Vitalich, the owner and head brewer of Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending in Carmel, California.
Hidden Hills. And that's a place that we were very recently. So we actually just recently met, just recently talked about it. And we absolutely had a great time. So Jeff, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, just to start off, I know that you've got an interesting path that brought you to opening a brewery. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you opened Hidden Hills and how it brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, actually, so my path started roughly 10 years ago, working at a bottoms up homebrew supply over in Seaside, one of our local homebrew shops, and really got obsessed with the scene, really loved the people involved. And after being in the industry for a little bit of time, I just fell in love with it. You know, the people are awesome. The environment is great. And it was just so fun. And, I was in the middle of college homebrewing like a lot of people were. And, I really felt like this was something I could pursue and move forward in.
Yeah, excellent. It's, for anybody who doesn't homebrew and who doesn't spend time at the homebrew shop, it really is something that is, you don't just run to the homebrew shop real quick to grab something. That's not really how it works. You go in, maybe you only need one little thing, but you spend some time there. There's quite a bit of community that happens. You chit chat about what you're making, what your ideas are. And I know my wife, so many times it's been, hey, babe, will you come with me real quick to the homebrew shop? And she always says, look, there's no real quick, right? We end up spending at least 30 minutes, sometimes longer. You can spend the whole afternoon in there if you don't pay attention.
Oh, easily. Yes. I always have to manage my time going in because I knew I'll run into people or the owner and just small talk for a bit, and just who can't just not stop talking about beer when it comes about, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah. Okay. Well, so, working at the homebrew shop, doing home brewing yourself. And, what was the next step that got you that transition, that made that leap?
Well, after graduating college, I did a little tour, went to Europe and just kind of did the full thing, went to several countries, all beer destinations for sure. And I just kind of wanted to reset myself and really figure out, is this something I wanted to get into? Or, I graduated with an engineering background, or did I want to go straight into that field and run the rat race? After having, such a grand experience, 1 month traveling, just going to brewery, I was pretty hard set. And, this is really what I wanted to do.
Excellent.
And then after that, I applied for a pretty big brewery of Gordon Biersch out in San Jose, production scale, 200 barrel system, 24/7 operation, massive brewery, and got in and got my feet wet.
And which brewery was that?
This is Gordon Biersch, the bottling facility out in
That's cool.
San Jose, California.
Yeah. The one that's right there in downtown was on like First Street or something, isn't it?
Right off of Taylor, right next to Japantown.
Yeah.
They were a big staple in San Jose for a long time.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
They definitely had, I can't remember, several years ago, maybe back in 2012, they had a big beer festival over there. They've hosted quite a few things. Yeah, Gordon Biersch, definitely big name in the Bay Area, and I mean much wider these days. But they were the craft brewery of the South Bay for many decades.
Yeah.
Oh yes. And without that experience, I can't really see myself moving as far as I did or as fast as I did, because I've had a background in just studying, self-studying. Also, went to Siebel Institute of Technology and UC San Diego's Master's Brewers program. I dove into that, but just the experience from, the day-to-day operation and, being with such a solid team, yeah, that was just a priceless experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I was going to ask you because there are so many people who are home brewers, and when you're home brewing, even if you do, 1 5-gallon batch a year, or if you are turning out, the bigger 1 barrel, 2 barrel batches, things like that, or doing them regularly, I feel like everybody has that, whether it's a dream or a goal, or if it's just that kind of in the back of their head as they're, as they're stirring the kettle, they have that thought of, what if I did this for a living? What if I did this professionally? And so for so many people there, there is that big leap that they're always looking towards. What do you think was the most important thing that you learned working at Gordon Beer that allowed you to make that leap from, home brewer to opening your own brewery?
Ooh, that's a tough one. There's just so many things involved, but a lot of it I would add to contribute to the grind. Was just an intense experience. So much to learn in so little time. Such high demand of our abilities, and just to, there's millions of dollars of product just sitting behind us per day that we had to get out and get moving, and ensuring, our specs are in line, our numbers are hit, going to the lab, coming back, going back to the brew house, it's automated system. So we're brewing, cellaring, filtering, packaging, doing all that all at once. And it was just a thrilling experience. And just knowing that, I could add a drive into making sure everything was, all the boxes are checked. All what we needed to do was correct. That was kind of the deciding factor. It's like, yeah, I kind of like this lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Outstanding. Now, and you said, excuse me. You said that Gordon Biersch is running 200-barrel batches. And if I remember correctly, you're running 2-barrel batches. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So you're running your batches at basically 1% the capacity of what a Gordon Biersch is doing. How does it differ as far as the day-to-day demands, even though you're running such a smaller capacity? Do you feel like the workload is less? Do you feel like the workload is more, about the same? What are your thoughts?
Possibly a little bit more, but in a different context. And now I'm also very much involved in the administrative side, the business aspect of everything. Not just the brew house and cellaring and the brewing operation itself, but running the numbers aside from the brewery. That was something that was newer to me, and just making sure we file everything that we need to do, all the the demands that we have to do with for taxes, what we have to be required to do from the ADC or TTB. That was added a lot to my plate, on top of just the day-to-day stuff here at the tasting room and the brewery itself. So that was a new thing to me, and adding it on top of everything just made things a little bit more difficult. But that's what I enjoy, and I do enjoy being able to move that forward.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yeah, it is one of those things that everybody we talk to, it's, this is very hard work, right? It's not easy. So many people have the idea, oh, you brew some beer, then you get to, pour beers for people and drink a beer and talk about it. And what a life of luxury. And it's not, it's work. I mean, it's absolute work all day, every day for the most part. But everyone that we speak to has, like you, they have that, look, it's really hard work, but it's work I love doing. And they have that passion that I can hear that you enjoy it.
Yeah. A lot of the passion comes from just seeing my my regulars come in, trying the new beer, and just being super stoked about it. Putting all that effort into creating recipe, or, refining a recipe over time, and, seeing them trying it and, being super happy with it, or, be critical with it, and trying to, move us in a certain direction that fits them too. It's really what we do is for our customers and our regulars. And that's what I really.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
no, absolutely. Now, being that you have the 2-barrel system, you're going through your batches much more quickly.
And so do you find that gives you more opportunity to kind of refine and make changes? Do you find yourself kind of remaking and trying to match the previous batch, or which way are you going? Are you going for more kind of unique each time? Or do you have that kind of trying to, hey, we caught a good one here. How do we reproduce it with the next batch?
For us, we have a solid 4 or 5 core beers or like our flagships, and we try to keep those pretty consistent. I mean, I might shift things around, 2-3%. We're considering, changing the style a little bit, or just to make it as best as we possibly can. There's a couple of those that I think we are real solid. We want to stick to it, and we'll try to repeat it every single time. But a lot of our, our seasonals or even our coffee stuff or hazes and our IPAs, we like to rotate that based off availability of fruit or hops. And that's something that we like to kind of rotate in and out.
Very cool. I was also going to ask, is there anything that how do you plan for what you're going to brew next? Is it something that's more of what your likes, or, kind of what your customers have been telling you?
Yeah, a little bit of both. I would say, what we are learning is, the more hoppy beers, the more faster beers move. Usually, a lot of people would compliment us that, half our board is not IPAs, which is great. But once they notice when we have more IPAs, people just get flights of whatever we have hoppy, which is really cool. And we actually get more people coming around from the county, more opposed to just the more local community. So yeah, we like to have a pretty diverse array of styles. The more basic stuff from the blonde ale to amber ale, pale ale is something we always want to keep on there for everybody to enjoy. And if somebody is, total Hofstad, they only want the juiciest hazy or the freshest West Coast IPA, I'll try to move them toward the pale ale and say, check this out. This is something I'm pretty proud of. And I think you should just at least try it and see if this fits your palate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to ask, because the full name of Hidden Hills is Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending, right?
Yeah.
And blending lends me to think of wine and wine blending.
Absolutely.
And I'm wondering if that is that what we're talking about when we say brewing and blending?
It definitely is. Yes. So we get that question asked a lot. What is the blending component in our name? And that is a project we are currently working on, and we are wanting to do a lot more barrel aged projects. So actually, before I started Hidden Hills, I was over at a brewery out in Santa Cruz Mountains called SoCal Fermentation Project. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. We were a really small brewery, 4-barrel system, but we housed 200 wine barrels in a warehouse where we pretty much specialize in spontaneously fermented or co-fermented wild, really, really fun stuff. And I want to be able to incorporate those styles into this brewery as well. These beers do take, 1 to 3 years cellaring in barrels. And then once, they hit their marks, we kind of choose components from, the select array of barrels that we have and blend those to our light. And try to do something fun with that.
Wow, that definitely sounds like a lot of fun. And so when you're doing that, it requires a large number of barrels, does it not?
Oh yes, yeah. It's like having a array of different color palettes or crayon in a basket to be able to use, because we don't really know ultimately what these flavor components we will get in each barrel. We could do the same batch and it will go in several different barrels, and each barrel will be different depending on, DO pickup or the microbe layout of each barrel, or, how well these barrels are holding up together. So being able to choose these components from each barrel and going to, working backwards, as I say, I like to find the smallest component of each style or each beer and kind of work to the bigger percent. So that's what I find really fun. And that's almost like the artisanal side of the brewing process. When we make clean beers, it's just brew, ferment, package, it's all one deal. But with the blending component, it's a lot more trickier, but I wouldn't say it's, you get so much more depth and layers and flavor, and it's just a really fun part.
Kind of like a big risk, but bigger reward.
Yeah, it sure is. With these styles, you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you would get, a strong acetone aroma from one barrel and think, well, that's not going to work, and we're not going to blend that out. So that is going down the drain.
For sure.
Yeah, that's it's really interesting as you start talking about the blending the different barrels and things like that. And it made me think of, I can't remember who was doing this recently, but they were doing a Solera barrel aged beer. And are you familiar with the Solera process, Jeff?
Yes, I am. I worked with a Solera program before. I think that's a pretty fun concept, like using like a giant hooter, or just, pulling out a little bit of beer here for a fruited style and then filling it back up. I kind of moved myself away from that a little bit, just because I noticed, wasn't going toward the style that I like. The Solera would constantly be moving somewhere, but not necessarily always the direction that you want it to go. So I like kind of a one-time deal where we'll find these barrel components, put it in one tank, maybe fruit it from there, and it would just be that beer itself. So we never really know what's what's going to come out of it. We have a good idea of being able to predict what direction we want to go, but it's never always defined.
Yeah, outstanding. It's talking about these barrel aged and everything like that, kind of just the mystery, and it's almost an adventure that you're going on with the beer as it develops and as you're putting it together. And nothing is terribly predictable, but you're still there able to guide. And it sounds like such a fun and exciting venture to go on. That's unique and different from, as you say, the clean beers, which are a lot more cut and dry and predictable. It just sounds like such a fun project to be involved in.
Oh yes. Some of the most fun aspects of for what we do is for sure the brewing process, but cellaring, barrel aging, the art behind just tasting each barrel and trying to like formulate something in your head that you want to create that everybody can experience almost in the same way. Yeah, there's something to that.
Well, what do you have planned for the future? What's coming up next for Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending?
So the next projects would actually incorporate our wine license. We do have a 02 wine growers license, which is not many breweries have both a winemaker and brewer's license. And that's something that we can incorporate, not only just cider. I think you guys tried one of our ciders before. But also we want to get to, dabble into making natural wine.
Excellent. So would that be a project where you're contacting some of the local vineyards and buying grapes and then putting that together in that way? Or are you looking to even plant some vines and start from the ground up, so to speak?
Yeah, actually right now we do. So our second location where we are housing the barrels, that's where the wine license is. And we have a little small vineyard, nothing too big, but we're working on that. That's a 2-3 year, probably more so, project down the road. But we're looking to do everything internal and utilize our grapes. Out here in Monterey County, Pinot and Chardonnay tends to be the more predominant varieties. But we just being in California, we are in the mecca of the wine world, and we have so much access to plenty of different grapes out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's so you said that the second location, and we know we have the brewery and tap room in the barnyard. The second location, is that something where it is production only? Is that something where people can go and visit and get a drink there as well, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, right now everything is through the tap room here in Carmel at the barnyard. But the second location being further in Carmel Valley is just a warehousing location and production site. We'll be housing our barrels for cellaring and making the ciders.
Okay. Well, and Nick, when we were in there, we had a stout that I want to say was like a toasted coconut. Do you remember what stout that was, Nick?
I can't remember the name.
Probably
but it
the
was definitely
Midnight in
toasted coconut.
Paradise.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that was an excellent beer. The coconut and everything like that. Nick, I know that was one of the favorites that you tasted. Is that right?
Yes, that one and the cider with the dragon fruit, and I think it was guava.
Yeah. What was the name of that cider with the dragon fruit and guava?
Yeah, we just called that our semi-dry cider with guava and passion. That was that was actually our first cider we made, and we weren't 100% sure how that was going to be received, but that's actually been quite a hit.
I'm sure. Yeah, it excellent flavors on it. As you said, it's a semi-dry, so it wasn't not that real, tart like you'll get with some of the maybe wild ferment ciders and things like that. Definitely not that cloying sweetness. Beautiful color on it. I definitely picked up kind of almost little hints of almost cotton candy aroma on the back end, and it was very excellent. And I think we read an article that it talked about you try to use locally grown ingredients. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Seeing out here in the Central Coast, I want to say most of berries come from this area. So much availability of a wide a range of fruit products, and the guava or jackfruit obviously didn't come from anything local. I wish it did. But we are working on a little plot where we are growing our dragon fruit so we could be able to utilize that, since, at our 2-barrel system, we really don't need a whole lot of fruit to be able to get to the flavor profile that we're looking for. But there's something to be said about, using fresh grown fruit that you see grown yourself, and how it's going to end up in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Nick, what's a fruit you'd like to see in an upcoming cider?
Huh. That's a tough one. I think I'm a big fan of, I think that's why I was such a big fan of the cider to begin with, because I love dragon fruit, and that guavas, but typically something like the more kind of exotic fruits, are the ones that I usually lean towards for cider. So usually if I show up at a place and I see something with something kind of exotic looking, I'll lean towards that. But
Yeah. And how did you come up with the dragon fruit guava combination there? That is such a unique thing. I think probably not a lot of people are even familiar with the dragon fruit to begin with, but how is that something that you put together? How were you inspired?
I would say that's always considered like California style. Like I really like, and that's kind of how I want to proceed with our how people see us is, we want to be a California style brewery. What I mean by that is very tropical-esque. We kind of move forward toward the tropical flavors with a lot of things. Not just our cider with the guava and dragon fruit. I love dragon fruit. Every time I can, find it at the grocery store, I try to go pick up a fresh one. And, being able to use whatever we have access to, is always fun, but there's something that, I just love tropical fruit. So actually the newest cider we just have right now is with pineapple, and that's really, really hitting
my
hard
favorite.
too. And you can't really go wrong with, fruit, not so much fruited IPAs, like, going fruit forward with our IPA. So like, our, yeah, low visibility, we use a lot of, tropical fruit flavor forward hop styles. So like, Moteca from New Zealand, or, Citra from Pacific Northwest, and kind of going rich on that tropical theme. And, that's just something I really enjoy. And I think that's something California is very much kind of accustomed to, is being one of those areas where we are a melting pot of cultures and people, and very much we have that Mediterranean climate out here. So it's super warm most of the year, or fairly cold, half the year. And, we have that tropical theme going on for it.
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely do. And I like that you mentioned the melting pot of California, which we definitely are. We have a lot of different roots that we have in our communities, from a lot of different cultures. And I feel like with craft beer, that's always been something that has been, well, I won't say always, something that is becoming much more prevalent, is this kind of idea of community, and that, everybody is welcome. There are a lot of ideas that are, out there and crazy and new and wild, and they're all welcome in the community. And we're seeing that with a lot more of the variation in beer styles and these unique flavor profiles and combinations like that. And I want to ask you about your experience in the craft beer community, and just that, I guess, that sense of community in itself.
Yes, that was one of my driving factors of just pursuing this industry and wanting to pursue it further, is from starting from the homebrew scene, making beers at home and sharing it with friends, led to going to local competitions, or homebrew events. There was, every year we had one here locally in Salinas. It was at the Steinbeck Festival, or Homebrew Festival. Just a bunch of homebrewers. And what was crazy was people thought we were professional brewers. We were, there was at least a few dozen of us taking over the downtown location, and pouring beers. And everybody was just so happy and thrilled to just have so many people pouring beers, enjoying themselves, so many compliments. And then, the brewers ourselves, the home brewers, we would get together afterwards, talk about our recipes, chit chat, and like just talk more about what we do in our process, and try to learn what we can learn from each other. But it's the support that we have amongst that community, which is so awesome. Everybody is always usually really friendly and wanting to just learn more about making beer.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely want to, shout out Bottoms Up Homebrew, which is our local spot here in Monterey. It's over in Seaside. Great spot. They're the ones that put on that, as you said, the Steinbeck Homebrew Festival, which the first time I went to it was maybe 2016, 2017. And you say, the few dozen brewers, there were easily over 100 beers to try at that event. I was floored by the number of people locally who were homebrewing and participating. It was a wonderful event, a very large, strong community here. But anybody, majority of our listeners are not in this area. But wherever you are, there is a local homebrew shop. There is. And I encourage you, whether you're a homebrewer or not, go into your local shop, check it out, say hello, ask some questions, and you will find somebody behind the counter, or even just some other people who are in there doing their own shopping, who are welcoming, they're friendly, they want to talk to you about their passion, they want to, share their wisdom, anything like that. It's always a great spot. And I definitely recommend everybody, if you've never been into a homebrew shop, just go in and start talking to people. And, 2-3 hours later, you'll find yourself, having made a bunch of friends.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's almost intimidating for some, maybe. I mean, I know it was for me. 'Cause I'm just the type of person. Once I get into something, I will go all out, be the best. I want to be the best I possibly can at that thing. And going into the homebrew shop for the first time, feeling intimidated because I know everybody knows so much more than I know, but I knew I was interested in this thing, and just taking it step by step, one at a time. Your first batch of beer probably is going to be okay. It's not going to be probably the greatest, but just driving through, I've made so many batches that I wasn't so stoked about, for sure. Even some that I've done, but it's just it's just, working with everybody, finding mentors within that community, talking with the owner or whoever's running the shop, and, everybody's wanting to help you in some direction or another. And I would just say, just take that step. If you haven't brewed a beer, a batch of beer, but you really enjoy beer, I'd say just go for it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of, as you mentioned, the tropical fruit forward hops that are coming out of New Zealand and places like that, Nick, you and I just tried a beer from Treehouse out in Massachusetts, and I don't remember the name of the beer, but they were using the
called Jubilee.
Peacherine Jubilee, and
Yes.
Jubilee had the Peacherine hop, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a hop that just came out of New Zealand, which again has that, really new fruit forward quality to it, which I feel like a lot of this stuff is coming out of these breeding programs in New Zealand, and they're really pushing the way with the tropical, with the stone fruit and things like that. Jeff, what do you think? I mean, are the most exciting hops right now coming out of New Zealand? What do you think is coming up for us in the world of hops here?
I think New Zealand is almost by far one of my favorite, procurers of hops. It just comes in a so different array of flavors, and on your palate and aroma, that it is so distinctly different than what we are used to out here. Being most regions that do grow hops are all great, but there is something so unique and rich and flavorful, and different about New Zealand hops, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely the West Coast hop, especially the Pacific Northwest has that, that danky quality, maybe a little bit, the piney, resiny, but certainly that danky quality that we've all come to know and love with the West Coast IPA. But yeah, I mean, realistically, I feel like once these New Zealand hops really started getting onto the scene is when we started seeing more of these juicy IPAs. Do you think that it's the I guess influx of these fruitier hops that have led to the rise of the juicy and the hazy IPA?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I remember back when IPAs were, or at least IPA drinkers, like, oh, wow, that's not bitter. I want something more bitter. And it was just it was a challenge of who can make the most, bitter kind of like, whoa, factor in the drink, in your drinking experience. But now everything has kind of lightened down or tamed on the, the bitterness or the richness, and kind of move forward with more rich on the aroma and more palatable on the bitterness, and focusing on that flavor that comparable to, needing some fresh fruit that more people in the market can enjoy. I think once that transition kind of happened a few years back, not too long ago, you started seeing a bigger influx of craft beer consumers, for sure. A wide variety of people have noticed have been, really enjoying beer, when they would almost say like, hey, they don't like beer, but once you give them like, a hazy or a juicy and they drink that, it's like, wait, this is beer? This is like juice.
Yes, it is. Well, and Nick, what is your favorite beer style? I know we talk about this a lot, but what's your favorite?
Mine, I feel like our listeners should know by now. I'm a big fan of the brown ales.
Yes.
I always feel like it's probably one of the most underrated beer styles. But typically I am going to be drinking like the hazy IPAs and everything. I'll occasionally have a West Coast IPA, but it's sometimes that bitterness that still comes through that I got burnt out on a long time ago with a lot of IPAs, just what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you were talking about that, I instantly thought back to the crazy bitter beers from like a Ninkasi that, the IBUs were through the roof. You take like a few sips and now you basically that's all you're tasting is hops for the next few hours. But still great beers nonetheless. But I've definitely more leaned towards like the more coffee-ish and juicy styles of beers.
And what do you think about that, Jeff, on a brown ale? What are your thoughts on the brown ale being the underrated beer that it is? And
I
your
wish,
thoughts on a comeback of brown ale?
I wish brown ales were a lot more popular than they are for sure right now. It's, you could get with multi styles in general, you could get a lot more depth and flavor and, mouthfeel from these malt driven styles that are so rich and so good. I think there is for sure a place for all those styles. And I think every brewery should, have at least, an amber or a brown ale that is solid that they keep on the board. And as a business perspective, those styles are not super popular. So they might sit on the board a little longer when you brew one, but it's, it's the education behind, all arrays of the styles that you have. That is, what makes a brewery fun. You could get a flight of everything and you'll find something for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the good thing is with those brown ales, they last a little bit longer. So as long as you're bringing people in with the hazy IPA, once they've had a pint, you can turn them on to the brown and it's not going to lose that character, much like like those traditional West Coast IPAs do after you let them sit for a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. Sometimes they even better over time too. Yeah, these multi stuff really changed in a good way, after having been cellared a little bit. And you could get a little more hop presence early on while it's still fresh, but as it sits, whether in a bottle or in a keg, you actually got a lot more flavors in the malt profile that you could kind of distinguish, like, oh, there's actually a big character in this beer that I didn't pick up when it was a little bit hoppier. And once the hops diminish, I pick up this fruit and some peanut butter or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely see a lot more people getting those maltier beers and cellaring them. And just before you jumped on, Nick and I were talking about some various stouts and other malty beers that we both have stashed away. And, this one, it's probably about time to crack this one open here. So we're definitely on board with you and, sometimes let some of those malty characters develop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, something I talk about quite a bit is how craft beer has been such an important part, I believe, in many of these smaller areas. You look at places that maybe whatever industry used to be there, whether it be logging or agriculture, what have you, that used to be, employing a lot more people in the area, keeping money local with the local banks or what have you. And over time, those jobs have either disappeared or, the industries have moved or they're owned by these multinationals that are extracting money out of areas. And what we've seen is in a lot of places, towns do start shrinking and dying as people leave and aren't coming back. And as more things are brought in versus being produced. And we've seen craft beer be something that I believe can be kind of an anchor for bringing things back, right? It's something that can be created and sold out to bring revenue in. It supports local restaurants, food trucks, artists, what have you like that. Which again goes back to the, craft beer community and the local community that we always talk about. And Jeff, what are your thoughts on that? Craft beer, generally its ability to kind of revitalize communities, and then large scale, Jeff, is craft beer going to save the world?
Yeah, I think it is. I for sure think it is. Not only the community, positive community involved with those who really enjoy beer, but it provides, a lot of jobs, a lot of people to find a place to congregate and enjoy themselves where it's not a dive bar, not like there's anything wrong with that, but, being in a brewery, which is, more family focused or family friendly, is a place where, people could get together, have a conversation about what they're drinking, really enjoy themselves of, the different styles that are coming from around the world, what is trending or what is fun. And there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of data of when a brewery comes into a town where it's, like it's, kind of run down, but the brewery kind of is a focal point for people to get together and, build something new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you heard it here. Some words of optimism from Jeff at Hidden Hills Brewing and Blending. I love it. It's what we talk about all the time, the community, the building, bringing people together, creativity, supporting each other. I mean, it's what Nick and I do here, right? We go out to places that, we try out their beer, we try out their food, we have a good time. We talk about them on our social media. We talk about them on our show. And really, we're just here to, share what we've experienced and loved with other people in hopes that we can all support each other in growing and moving forward.
Awesome. Yes. I believe so.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, what do you have any last thoughts for us? Do you want to shout us out on your shout out your social medias and things like that? Let everybody know where to find you. Of course, everybody should know by now, Barnyard in Carmel is where we can come and walk in and actually see you in person. But no, go ahead. Final thoughts and where everyone can find you.
Yes. We're over here at the Barnyard in Carmel, California. Right across from Carmel by the Sea. Probably more people are familiar with that. We're a little bit of a kind of undisclosed area, kind of hence the name Hidden Hills. So you do have to kind of seek us out or find us once you get to this facility. And I want to say one last thing too is beer is great, beer is awesome, but ultimately with this is fermentation. So find yourself being a connoisseur of the palate and, your olfactory system by, trying out the good wines that come from this area or, educating yourself on ciders because that's something that, the palate is it's an interesting, mind blowing experience where you could have all these flavors and components that could only come out through fermentation. So diving into more than just craft beer, but craft ciders, natural wines is something fun that everybody could be interested in. And sooner or later, you'll see it over here at Hidden Hills. So follow us on Hidden Hills Carmel on Instagram and our website, hiddenhillscarmel.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't wait to see the exciting things you have coming next. I know we'll be stopping in again, if for nothing else, just to enjoy some pints and see what you're making. And as things progress and as you do get some of these other projects off the ground, we're very happy to come visit you again and share what you're doing with our listeners. We really appreciate you being on here with us today. Thank you, Jeff.
I really appreciate you guys for having me. And looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Do you often find yourself at the crossroads with no idea which way to go? Do you struggle with philosophical quandaries over the meaning of existence and your own mortality? Do you ever find yourself wondering who would win in a fight between the Ghostbusters and the Ninja Turtles? Then Ask Cody Cricket is the podcast for you. Join me, your eponymous and possibly anthropomorphic giant cricket, and let me be your guide through all of life's many struggles and questions. Each week, I give honest, thoughtful, sometimes funny, and hopefully helpful answers to listeners' questions. No topic is too irreverent nor too deep. From relationships to potato chips, it never hurts to ask. We'll drunkenly mix metaphors and travel happy trails.
All right. So that was a great interview, man. I had a lot of fun talking with Jeffrey. He had some really cool stuff to share. 100%.
You're an awful guy. And just an all around great person. Can't wait to go back to Hidden Hills. Hopefully be able to hang out with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the funny thing is when we were there, I'm not sure if we talked about this. He was crushing grains the day that we were there because he had a brew day the next day. So he was literally out crushing grains while we were sipping beers. I mean, he's going. You know what I mean? He is working all the time. So chances are, if you go, you're going to see him there, and hopefully you catch him while he's on a break, so you can say hello. And yeah, I'd love to talk to him more.
That was a
Such a great guy.
Saturday that we went, right?
Yes, it was
Yeah, working on a Saturday, and then on Sunday, brewing it.
brewing on Sunday.
No,
Yeah.
no rest
No rest.
till beers are made.
That's it, man. The beer doesn't care what day of the week it is.
No,
The yeast doesn't care.
no,
That's it.
the yeast got to work. The brewer got to work.
That's right. That's right. Everybody, it's all hands on. But yeah, he's doing some good work, making some great beer, really knowledgeable, and as you said, just a great guy. Can't wait to go back and talk to him again. And yeah, speaking of doing stuff, Nick, what do we have coming up? What are we working on?
Experimenting with beer things.
Yes. And not in like a weird sex way. Although maybe, who knows? I mean, we'll get the OnlyFans up.
And beer spiking. Yeah. So, this should be interesting. I had heard about it in the past. Then Travis sent me a little article about it, and I was like, oh, let's try this out. And I believe the beer spike is typically used in a German Bock, but we're gonna get a little crazy with it. We're gonna try a variety of beers.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good.
Some beers might die a horrible death, but it's all in the name of your entertainment.
Yeah, and it's like they say, right? As long as you take notes, it's science.
Exactly. Science.
You don't
Pure
take
science.
notes, you're just fucking around.
We're gonna fuck around and find out.
That's right. That's right. And we got a couple other fun little, devices and products that we found. We'll try those out and see what's what with it. And yeah, I mean, well, more episodes coming up where we talk about breweries. That'll be a big change from what we normally do. We'll talk about beer. We'll talk about breweries. That's what you're here for.
Right? Speaking of beer accessories, I feel like, we're missing out on something that we should be made aware of. So, fans, if you're aware of some kind of beer drinking or some sort of device used to make beer better, or indulge better, we want to hear about it. I think that would be a lot of fun as well. Maybe we'll have to make some content, and it'll probably be patron only, because it's a device that you gave me a long time ago.
Ooh.
That, based on that look, you probably forgot about it.
I'm trying to think. I might know what you're talking about, or I might not.
Yeah, I'll need to dig it out, but it involves a rubber piece with a little metal tube, and you can use it both for beer and other things.
I know what you're talking about.
So,
yes.
leave a cloud of mystery to our listeners here. They'd be like, "What those?"
It's not an enema bag.
No,
Per
it's
se.
not. It's not. But that just ruined a little bit of the surprise. But there's so many different things that it could be. So we'll have to make some discoveries in the future here.
Yes.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, how does everybody find us, Nick?
HoppyTrailsPod.com.
That's right.
Or on Instagram, at HoppyTrailsPod.
Yep.
But pretty much everything, you can go to HoppyTrailsPod.com, and that'll bring you to our link tree. You can find us on your podcast platform of choice, find our Instagram, find an email to contact us.
Yes.
Because, people still use email.
Yeah.
None of that fax BS, like
No.
those government agencies.
Oh my goodness. I have to use it for work sometimes.
And I feel like at some point we need to make a phone number that you can call into.
Yes, we
Leave a
do.
voicemail, because we want to hear your sexy voices.
Yes, we do.
I'm not
We
the
do.
only sexy voice around here.
No, that's true. We want to hear you. We want to hear that deep breathing into the phone. Just really getting into it. Oh, and hey, speaking of other things unrelated, everybody check out a recent Doom Generation podcast. They're amazing. They're super funny. They review movies just in an amazingly hilarious way. They did one recently that was Can't Hardly Wait, and there was a little shout out that Nick and I were involved in, and they did a little bit of artwork on their Instagram that, if you take a peek, you may see a little cameo, some people you recognize. But anyway, they're amazing. Check them out. Listen to their show. And,
Definitely. They are
yeah.
hilarious.
hilarious.
They've talked about some movies that I haven't seen, and when they talk about it, it's like I feel like I don't even need to see the movie now. I feel like I got a beautiful rendition and recap by them. Always laughing my ass off. Listen,
Always hilarious.
Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious. Yeah. So definitely check them out in between shows that you're listening to us. If you want some extra content, hit us up on Patreon. We make some bonus content for our patrons. Fun stuff. Sometimes a little different than what we do here, but it's always good stuff.
it's the Safe for Work OnlyFans. Let's be real here.
It is. It is the Safe for Work OnlyFans. And we hit that patron goal of 500 patrons. Maybe we'll get that OnlyFans. Who knows? Only way to find out is to give us your money.
Yes. And then once we hit that 500, we'll ask for more money.
That's right.
But until then,
Remember to always say yes to the happy ending.
always say yes.
Cheers. The preceding podcast was produced by Sequoia Productions, LLC, copyright 2022, all rights reserved. If you enjoyed this show and you're looking for more, or even if you're looking for something a little different, check out the other amazing shows by Sequoia Productions, wherever you get your podcasts, or on sequoia.com.
Happy trails to Bruce until we drink again. Happy trails to Bruce. Keep sharing with your friends. Who cares about which IPA tastes better? ABV are just a couple letters. Happy trails to Bruce until we